Welcome, history enthusiasts and story lovers, to the Blade of History, your journey into one of the most turbulent, tragic, and thrilling periods in Chinese history. In our last episode, we witnessed the tragic aftermath of the coalition's hesitation. While Cao Cao's brave but doomed pursuit was crushed at Xinjiang, Dong Zhuo enacted a monstrous revenge, putting the glorious capital of Luoyang to the torch and beginning the forced migration of its millions of citizens to the west. Now, in early 191 AD, the tyrant has put his great retreat into motion. The Han court and the capital's populace are on the road to Chang'an, while Dong Zhuo himself lingers with a formidable army to oversee the destruction. Before the coalition lies the smouldering ghost of a city. Their common enemy is falling back, and their stated goal of rescuing the emperor seems more distant than ever. With no one to fight, the warlords are left to face something far more dangerous: each other. Today, we explore the beginnings of deep fractures that appeared within the alliance. It's a story of political treason, heroic ambition, and the discovery of an object so powerful it was believed to hold the destiny of China itself. With Dong Zhuo's strategic retreat in motion, the coalition's camp became a hotbed of frustration. The alliance, forged in righteous anger, was now paralyzed by inaction. At its head was Yuan Shao, a man of great prestige but growing impatience. He saw the campaign stalling and their popular support waning. To him, the puppet Emperor Jian, now isolated in Chang'an, was a lost cause. He decided on a radical, dangerous solution. If they couldn't rescue the emperor, they could simply replace him. His chosen candidate was a man named Liu Yu, the inspector of Yu province in the northeast. By all accounts, Liu Yu was an excellent choice. A respected member of the Han Imperial clan, he was known for his just and benevolent rule. He was popular with the people and even with the non-Han tribes along the frontier. In Yuan Shao's mind, crowning Liu Yu would be a masterstroke, creating a new, legitimate Han court that would instantly delegitimize Dong Zhuo's regime and rally the entire empire to their side. But when Yuan Shao presented his audacious plan to the other leaders, he did not receive the response he had hoped for. His own half-brother, the ambitious Yuan Shu, immediately saw it as a self-serving power grab. If Yuan Shao installed a new emperor, who would be the real power behind the throne? The most vehement opposition came from Cao Cao. Fresh from his near-death experience at Xinjiang, Cao Cao understood the coalition's purpose with stark clarity. The historical texts record his argument as he passionately rebuked Yuan Shao, stating that their entire claim to legitimacy was based on upholding the Han. To depose the rightful emperor, even a puppet, was an act of high treason. He declared, "To conspire to depose one emperor and enthrone another is the most inauspicious of acts. I will not be a part of it." For Cao Cao, turning against Dong Zhuo was a righteous act to save the dynasty. Turning against the dynasty itself was unthinkable. The final nail in the coffin of Yuan Shao's plan was Liu Yu himself. When envoys reached him, he repeatedly and furiously rejected the offer, recognizing it as the treasonous plot it was. The damage was done. Yuan Shao's scheme had failed, and in doing so, it had exposed the hollow core of the alliance. Their righteous crusade was revealed to be a fragile union of competing ambitions. The coalition was beginning to splinter. While the great lords were mired in political debate, one man refused to be idle. Sun Jian, the Tiger of Jiangdong, had not marched hundreds of miles to sit in a camp and argue. He was a warrior, and there was still a war to be fought. Leaving the squabbling coalition behind, he led his troops west towards the ruins of Luoyang. Dong Zhuo, who had remained near the capital to command the final stages of the withdrawal, anticipated this move. He personally led troops to engage Sun Jian in the hills outside the city. But even the tyrant himself was no match for the tiger's ferocity. Dong Zhuo was defeated and forced to flee further west. Enraged, he ordered his fearsome adopted son, Lu Bu, to lead a strong cavalry force back to pillage Luoyang and halt Sun Jian's progress. This set the stage for a dramatic confrontation. Sun Jian's army advanced towards the city, only to find Lu Bu's forces positioned near the desecrated imperial tombs of the Han Dynasty. Imagine the scene: the grand mausoleums, broken open and plundered, their sacred contents scattered. And amidst this sacrilege, two of the era's greatest warriors prepared for battle. The clash was fierce, but Sun Jian's disciplined army, buoyed by their recent victories, proved superior. Lu Bu was routed as Sun Jian pressed his attack and marched on the smouldering capital. As his forces stormed one of the eastern gates, they were met again by Lu Bu, who attempted one last stand. Once again, Sun Jian's forces broke through, defeating Lu Bu and forcing him to flee in humiliation. Sun Jian had done what the entire coalition could not. He had driven the enemy from the capital. But the sight that greeted him was not one of triumph. Palaces, temples, and homes were charred remnants. A deathly silence hung over the rubble. Dong Zhuo had ensured that the capital was no longer a defensible position and that there was nothing left worth defending. Still, as an act of profound respect for the dynasty he served, Sun Jian ordered his men to perform a solemn duty. They located the imperial tombs that Dong Zhuo's men had desecrated, repaired the damage as best they could, and formally resealed them, offering sacrifices to the spirits of the wronged emperors. With the tombs resealed, Sun Jian's men began the grim task of cleaning the ruins of the southern palace. The stench of ash and decay hung in the air. It was here, amidst the devastation, that destiny intervened. What really happened next is a subject of debate among modern historians, with varying accounts presented in different historical texts. But this part of our story is most famously told in the historical novel Romance of the Three Kingdoms. So allow us to indulge in some dramatized historical fiction. According to the tale, a soldier noticed a faint, multicolored light emanating from a well that had been choked with debris. Curious, he reported it to his superiors. On Sun Jian's orders, men cleared the well and pulled from its murky depths the body of a court lady. Incredibly tied securely around her waist was a silk sash, and in it, a small red box. Sun Jian opened the box. Inside, resting on a bed of silk, was a square of luminous jade. It was the Imperial Seal of the realm. It's impossible to overstate the significance of this discovery. This wasn't just a symbol of office. This was believed to be the physical manifestation of the mandate of heaven. Carved from a legendary piece of jade by the first emperor of China, it was passed down through the dynasties. The one who held the seal held the legitimate right to rule. It had been lost during the chaos when the eunuchs had seized the court years earlier. To find it now in this place felt like an act of celestial intervention. His trusted advisor recognized it immediately. He knelt and said to Sun Jian, "My lord, this is a sign. Heaven has delivered the empire into your hands." Here was the ultimate test of Sun Jian's character. He had just ordered his men to carry out the honorable task of resealing the desecrated tombs of the Han emperors. Now he held in his hand the one object that gave a man the right to succeed them. The ambition that burned within him, fueled by his frustration with the feckless coalition, overwhelmed his sense of duty. He made a fateful decision. He swore his men to absolute secrecy, concealed the seal, and began preparing to abandon Luoyang and return to his own territory. He had won the battle, honored the dead, and now held the mandate of the gods. But in his moment of greatest triumph, Sun Jian had just sown the seeds of his own doom and ignited a new desperate conflict. Sun Jian's secret would not remain a secret for long. The rumor of the Imperial Seal would spread like wildfire, turning every warlord's ambition into outright greed. The fragile pretense of the coalition was over. The war against Dong Zhuo had ended, and the war for the empire itself was about to begin. Join us next time on the Blades of History as the warlords turn their blades on one another, great houses clash, and the rivalries plunge the land into a new age of chaos. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to hit the like button. It really helps us out. And subscribe for more deep dives into the epic history of ancient China. New episodes every week.